When the Kansas City Chiefs were sitting at pick 32, a lot of fans were wondering, would Brett Veach stay put? Would he trade up? Would he trade down? Well, he did the Veach special, sliding down a few spots, picking up extra value, and still landing a potential star in Josh Simmons. Now let's talk about why Simmons at 32 could turn out to be a major steal. Josh Simmons, the towering offensive tackle from Ohio State, had a lot of first-round buzz throughout the draft cycle. Scouts loved his size, footwork, and the way he can lock down pass rushers one-on-one. What scared some teams off? A shoulder injury that cost him part of his final college season. But here's the deal. Kansas City's medical staff cleared him, and according to reports, the Chiefs' front office had him graded as a top 20 talent. Getting him at 32 after gaining extra picks is just textbook Veach. And let's be honest, the Chiefs needed this. After seeing Patrick Mahomes get banged up way too much last year, even behind a solid interior offensive line, it was clear the Chiefs needed to secure the edges better. Simmons has the kind of athleticism and technical polish to start very soon, maybe even week 1 if training camp goes well. There's always a bit of risk with any player coming off an injury, but the upside with Simmons is massive. He could lock down the right tackle spot for the next 5-7 years. And when you're paying Mahomes $500 million, you cannot afford to miss on protecting him. So, here's the big question for you guys. Do you think Josh Simmons will start week 1? Tell me in the comments. And hey, if you're enjoying this draft breakdown so far, hit that like button and subscribe to stay locked in with all the latest Chiefs news. Up next, we'll dive into how the Chiefs beefed up the defensive line with a couple of bold picks, and why one of them could be a major sleeper. Stick around. After locking down the offensive line with Josh Simmons, Brett Veach wasted no time, turning his attention to the other side of the trenches. In round 2, with the 64th overall pick, the Chiefs selected Omar Norman-Lott, the defensive tackle out of Tennessee. Now, this pick might not have been as flashy as some fans were hoping for, but trust me, it was smart, and very much by design. Let's be real, Chris Jones is a legend in Kansas City, but even legends need some help, especially as they get a little older. The Chiefs know they can't ask Chris to play 80% of the snaps forever, if they want him fresh and dominant in January and February. That's where Norman-Lott steps in. Omar Norman-Lott was a force at Tennessee, especially against the run. He's got that quick first step you love to see from an interior lineman, and he's a natural fit in Steve Spagnuolo's rotation-heavy defensive system. He's not a finished product yet, but in Kansas City, he won't have to be. He can grow into his role, learn from the best, and give the Chiefs quality snaps right away. If Norman-Lott can take 10-15 snaps a game off Chris Jones's plate, especially during the dog days of December, that's huge. And if down the road he develops into a full-time starter, even better. Another thing to like, versatility. Norman-Lott can play multiple spots along the D-line. Whether it's sliding out to defensive end in certain looks or plugging up the middle, he gives Spags options. And we all know how much he loves to mix things up. Quick poll for you. Do you think Omar Norman-Lott will make a bigger impact this year on run defense or pass rush? Vote in the comments. Run or pass? And if you're pumped about the Chiefs getting younger and deeper in the trenches, make sure you tap that notification bell. That way you don't miss any breaking updates or analysis coming your way. Coming up next, we'll talk about one pick that's already turning into a bit of a controversy. Yep, not every pick was a slam dunk. Let's get into it. All right, let's keep it real. Up until this point, Brett Veach was basically pitching a perfect game. But then, in the 3rd round, the Chiefs took Ashton Gillott, the edge rusher from Louisville. And man, this was the first time you had to tilt your head a little bit. Look, no disrespect to Gillott, he's got tools. 2 years ago, he flashed some serious potential, but his production took a major step back this past season, and that's always a little concerning. You expect college guys, especially ones you're drafting to get after the quarterback, to trend upward, not backward. This felt like a pick made more out of need than value. The Chiefs desperately needed more juice off the edge, no doubt about it. George Karlaftis has been solid. Mike Danna has had moments. But the team still hasn't found that true second game wrecker opposite Karlaftis. Everyone hoped King Felix Anudika-Uzomah would take that leap last season, but he's still developing. So yes, the position made sense, but the player? Not so much. You just can't shake the feeling that there might have been better options still on the board. More polished edge rushers, guys with a higher floor. Instead, Kansas City went for a project, one that could work out, but definitely carries more risk than reward at this stage. Here's what I'm wondering, and I want your take on it too. Did the Chiefs reach for need, or do you trust Veach's eye for defensive talent here? Drop a trust or reach in the comments. Now, because it's Veach, you have to give him a little bit of a pass. His draft record lately has been lights out. So maybe Gilot turns into a rotational piece who surprises everyone. Maybe he's another Mike Danna type who grows year over year. We'll be rooting for him, but right now, this pick gets a cautious C grade. All right, moving on. Things definitely pick back up after this slight stumble because the next pick, yeah, it's an absolute steal. Let's get into that next. After that slight bump in the road with the Gilot pick, Brett Veach came, roaring back with a steal at pick 85, Nehemiah "No" Williams, the cornerback out of Cal. Man, what a difference a round makes. This dude is a straight-up playmaker. 7 interceptions last season. 7! That's elite ball production, and you can never have enough guys who can take the ball away, especially in today's NFL where turnovers change games in an instant. And honestly, if you watch the Chiefs last season, you know the secondary depth got exposed when Jaylen Watson went down. It wasn't pretty. Now with Williams in the mix, Kansas City gets some much-needed insurance, and maybe even a future starter. Let's think big picture for a second. Jaylen Watson's long-term future is a little cloudy. He's been good, but he's had injury issues. Brett Veach historically doesn't re-sign homegrown defensive backs. You have to prioritize re-signing Trent McDuffie soon. Adding a young turnover machine like No Williams is just smart roster management. You're preparing for the future without panicking about the present. Plus, Williams fits exactly what Steve Spagnuolo wants. Aggressive ball-hawking corners who aren't afraid to gamble a little and make plays. He's got the swagger you need on the outside. Quick question for you. Who do you think leads the Chiefs in interceptions this upcoming season? McDuffie? Williams? Someone else? Drop your prediction below. I'm curious to see where you land. Another thing to love. Williams brings energy and confidence. You can just feel it watching his tape. He's not afraid of big moments. That attitude is infectious, especially in a locker room that feeds off swagger and championship expectations. Bottom line, Veach absolutely crushed this pick. It might end up being one of the steals of the entire 2025 draft. And speaking of bringing some new energy to the Chiefs. Next up, we're talking about a guy who's going to help Patrick Mahomes unlock the deep ball again. Let's dive into that. All right, Chiefs Kingdom. It's time to talk about one of the most exciting picks of the entire draft for the offense. Jaylen Royals, the wide receiver out of Utah State, selected at pick 133. Now listen, Patrick Mahomes has been dropping hints for a while. He's been saying he wants to get back to that electric deep passing game, the kind we haven't consistently seen since the days of Tyreek Hill blowing past defenders. And Jaylen Royals? He's built to help make that happen. This guy's got size, he's got real vertical speed, and he's fearless when the ball's in the air. Royals can stretch defenses and force safeties to backpedal, opening up all kinds of chaos underneath for Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, when healthy, and whoever else is in the rotation. Picture it. Healthy offense. Royals flying deep. Kelce working underneath. Mahomes doing Mahomes things. Who do you double now? Good luck, defensive coordinators. Also, this pick gives Kansas City serious insurance. Let's be real. We're still Waiting to see what happens with Rashee Rice's legal situation, plus injuries can hit any wide receiver room fast. Royals gives the Chiefs another weapon, another threat. No more Sky Moore experiments. The Chiefs are building real depth at wideout now. Poll time. Do you think Jalen Royals will score at least 5 touchdowns as a rookie? Yes. No vote down in the comments. Let's see where the hype level is at. But that wasn't the end of Brett Veach's magic. In the later rounds, the Chiefs added, Jeffrey Bassa, the linebacker from Oregon. Converted from safety, he's a perfect fit for today's NFL. Fast, smart, and much better in coverage than Nick Bolton, who, let's be honest, struggles in that department sometimes. Bassa brings versatility and insurance to the linebacker core, which is massive in a league that's always targeting linebackers with tight ends and running backs. And finally, Kansas City found a little 7th-round gold again, Rashard Smith, the running back out of SMU. This wasn't just about adding another body behind Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. The Chiefs were specifically looking for a back with return ability, and Smith checks that box beautifully. He's small but explosive, and he'll compete right away for special teams snaps, maybe even some gadget plays on offense too. Think about it. Pacheco was a 7th-round pick. The Chiefs' track record with these late running backs? Pretty solid. Rashard Smith might not become a star, but finding a contributor in the 7th round is a huge win. Final question for you before we wrap. Which day 3 pick, Bassa, Royals, or Smith, are you most excited about? Tell me down below. I'll be watching for the best takes. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, let's hand out the final overall grade for the Chiefs' 2025 draft and talk about why Brett Veach deserves another massive round of applause. Stick with me, you're going to like this next part.